The Old Republic versus the Empire. Who will win? We'll find out tonight. Hey everyone, welcome back to another interview-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Isabella.
And we are back with Imperial interviews, and we have the amazing Isabella from a rival Star Wars podcast. Star Wars, the Old Republic Radio, and everyone loves the interviews. And is this like our first like Star Wars like interview of like another Star Wars person?
I was like, what do you mean by that?
Like we have our Discord.
I was about to ask.
But like we have our Discord fans that have been on, but like
actually someone that does the same thing we do. Just
yeah, I think
the
other than
dark,
the
light
Lucy,
side.
but that was before she started her podcast. I think so.
Yes, it was before.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you gave this whole intro. I was not prepared for that, by the way. That was awesome. I was like, have they ever had a podcast on? Because this is a big setup here.
Yeah, we've had a couple other podcast people on, but one was like a Marvel podcast who also likes Star Wars, and that was like one of our first ones. But
but that was just like different. Is he still doing that?
He's doing some other stuff, but not like he was. But anyway,
this is like in the same universe. The same galaxy.
Yep, just different time periods, the Old Republic versus the Empire. But
even though we never talk about the Old Republic.
Right.
Really?
They don't really.
It's just a name.
There's no
it's the name, yeah.
Because there's no like even anything in Star Wars that's technically Old Republic, really. Like they have a couple like Easter eggs and mentions and stuff, but like
yeah.
But isn't the Old Republic not canon technically?
Well, yeah, the books and games and stuff are not canon, but there's no canon stories or anything. So hopefully someday. But until then, we have this interview tonight. And so how I discovered this podcast was I just was randomly on Instagram going through Explore, and I saw a bunch of girls at cons with like James Arnold Taylor or something like that. And I clicked on
Sounds
it.
Sounds about right.
And I saw it was another Star Wars podcast of all girls. And I was like, hey, these people are kind of cool. I was looking through your photos. I'm like, these girls seem fun. I'm going to follow them. And then like weird, like small world, like Star Wars Old Republic Radio knows Maria, who we had on the podcast a while ago. And also Maria's sister as well. And so now like all four of us are kind of connected, but not really, but we are. So it's kind of funny
our own little mini community.
Yep, our mini thing. So that's pretty cool that everybody knows each other. And so it's just a lot of fun that we can like do this all together.
But you're not from here, right? Or are you?
I'm from Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeehaw.
Yep. Yeehaw. You guys actually say yeehaw? I thought that was just in the movies.
Actually, you would be pretty surprised.
You would be surprised. What part of Texas? If you don't mind me asking.
We're right outside of Dallas.
Oh, okay. This is chat. Yeehaw.
Okay, because Yaretsi, who I told you about, who wants to go to NostalgiaCon.
Oh, yeah.
So she's from Texas.
Is she on?
She's in the chat right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. You should totally come to NostalgiaCon. For sure.
All right, cool. All right, well, we might as well just kind of jump into this interview. And so we're going to follow the same format that we do for everyone. So first up all the time is, what is your Star Wars story? Or in other words, how did you become a Star Wars fan?
Okay, this is a long story. I will shorten it though.
Okay.
Yeah, strap in. It's a lot like most people, I would say, is I was probably like 10, somewhere around there, when my dad one day was like, you guys have never seen Star Wars. It's me and my 3 sisters. We're all kind of like back to back in age. And he's like, I think I'm gonna have us watch that. And because he loves having movie nights and things. And so he bought the originals and the prequels, and he's like, every week we're gonna watch a new Star Wars movie. And so at the time,
good dad, good
exactly,
father.
Exactly, best franchise he ever introduced me to. But I just remember coming home one day because we had a bunch of classes in school and all that stuff. Coming home, opening the house, the door, and just hearing the Star Wars theme blasting through the house. And I'd never really heard it before. And I was just like, I mean, except for like, again, we had Disney passes, so I'd see Star Wars fans and hear the music every once in a while. But I was like, oh, this is Star Wars. And just walking in, we sit down, we watch the movie, and I was like, holy cow. That was like, I didn't understand half of it. But Luke Skywalker is awesome, and I like what's going to happen with Darth Vader, and I was just super excited to watch the next one. So we went through all of the first 6 movies, and then I always liked Star Wars, but there was a time where I was like, I just wasn't as into it as I was when I first watched it. But about high school, I would say it was probably 2020 actually, when there was nothing in this world to do except binge watch TV shows. I found the Clone Wars. And so me and Sierra, my sister, started watching the Clone Wars, and it kind of just reawakened the whole love of Star Wars again, because I'm like, there's Ahsoka, you're getting, these in-between details. When they first introduced like the inhibitor chips and everything in season 6, it blew my mind. I was like, I never questioned why the clones turned. I always thought they were just really messed up. But like just all the details and everything, season 7, bawling my eyes out. It was just amazing. So then we watched the next show, Rebels, and then it just from there it's history. And then 2022, we decided when Obi-Wan was coming out that we were going to start a podcast on it, because we had already had a podcast beforehand. I will not say the name of it because I was 15 when we started it, and that's just embarrassing. No one needs to listen to that.
But it's still up. You didn't delete it or anything?
I have it. I'm gonna keep it up forever, just because I know when I'm like 40 years old and I want to hear myself at 15 and my sister and a couple friends we did it with. I'm like, it's nostalgic and stuff. So it is out there, and people I know have found it, but not everybody needs to know about that one. But anyway, we decided to switch gears and do Star Wars. And so, yeah, it was just me and Sierra at the time. And then when Andor came around, we had Ruby come on. And yeah, just, every show that comes out, we talk about it. And then we started going to cons and everything. And I would say, again, I got like another reawakened love for Star Wars when we started doing cons, because I didn't expect like how many people we would meet in the Star Wars community, because I hear everyone talk about it like, this community is awesome, this and that. I'm like, cool. But I never understood it until we started making friends who we just keep up with all the time. Like some of my best friends I met at a Comic-Con. And so just getting to keep up with them, and it's just incredible. So that's about my Star Wars story.
So, question about your dad. Has he watched all the animated shows and all that stuff too, or no?
Actually, no, he turned on me. He decided that actually most everyone, if you've listened to a good amount of episodes of our podcast, we don't like the sequels.
Right.
And my dad decided that he loves the sequels. Oh. He loves them, and he'll quote it to me. He's like, the best characters is, this and this, and I'll go to a con with you if they get Rey to come. And I'm like,
oh dang.
Which I would love to meet Daisy Ridley.
I mean, right.
Yeah, but he's just saying that to rub it in my face. But yeah.
But does he watch the shows though? Like,
he does watch Mando. That's fun to watch Mando with him, because he thinks Grogu is the cutest thing ever. And he can't shut up about him whenever we're watching the show.
He loves this nag.
Well, you gotta make him watch Clone Wars and Rebels. Like, that's so much better than a lot of other stuff. Like, he made you watch the movies when you were a kid. You gotta make him watch the shows.
Yeah, you made me watch 6 movies. Now I'm gonna make you watch 7 seasons of this show.
Yeah. But question about when you watched the movies the first time,
Mm-hmm.
So was the Vader being Luke's father reveal? Did you know that beforehand, or was that?
No.
Ooh.
So
No.
what was your and your sister's reaction to that?
That's a good. Hang on, I'm trying to remember. It blew my mind. Again, I'm going to use that a lot because watching Star Wars for the first time, I didn't get any spoilers or anything. When I found out that Luke and Leia were brother and sister, I got so excited. But Darth Vader specifically, when he said, like, I am your father, like, I was trying this whole time watching the movie, like, putting puzzle pieces together because I want to know who Luke's dad is. I want to know who Darth Vader is and, like, all of this stuff. And it's just starting to click together. I was like, this storytelling is so good. And I just, every movie, I couldn't wait to watch it and just find out next. But what I love about Star Wars is they never answer all your questions.
Right.
Like when you're watching things, you're like,
that's what you like about it.
Yeah, that's what I like about it, is this like mystery that George Lucas put into it. Is we don't have all the answers about everything.
We still don't know where Yoda came from.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah. So it's just, yeah, watching things like that, spoiler free, when Anakin turned to the dark side and Padme died. I didn't know Padme was gonna die. That broke my heart.
Oh, dang. That's intense.
And it still does, but yeah, just it's things like that. It's really fun whenever I remember that. And actually, some of the questions, I'm gonna get into it. I don't want to spoil it beforehand.
Yeah.
All right.
Jump the gun a little bit.
That's cool. All right, Drew. What's the first top two?
All right, the first top two is what's your top two favorite ships, as in flying, not relationships.
So I think I sent you starships, but I always would send people ships, and people would think like relationships.
Yeah,
like slang.
You didn't say that. Send that to me.
No, I just sent you copy paste
okay.
of whatever I already had.
Yeah.
But
mine said starships.
Okay,
you're
good.
lucky,
although my first thought was, if he sent ships, I would have come up with two ships, and I would have been like, let's talk about this. For starships, though.
So start with your number two, and then go to your number one.
Okay. Yes. Ooh, which one do I want? I didn't necessarily put them in order.
Oh, dang.
Let me think about this.
None of your stuff is in order?
Oh.
Well, there is some of them.
I gave you 20 more minutes.
Some of them are guaranteed,
okay.
some, but these are like when it's really close.
It's like a ship. It's
okay. Second favorite, I would say, is the Razor Crest from The Mandalorian.
Yep. Solid.
Yeah. And then the first favorite is Slave One.
Ship. Oh, that just made Drew happy.
And you said the right name, dude. Like, that's awesome.
He does not like calling it the fire spray.
It's not what it's called.
See, I actually intentionally didn't learn that name because I'm like, I'm not calling it that. Right. So if you ask me what the new name is,
right.
Now I know.
Best friend. Your best friend here.
I think it's the model is a fire spray, not the name of the ship, though.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know, because there's been
I don't know, yeah.
Because for a while it was called Boba Fett's ship. I think there's even toys that literally say
because they didn't have a name.
I'm sure, yeah.
But it's kind of like the Millennium Falcon. It's a Corellian YT freighter. It's not like Millennium Falcon is just a name, not the thing. But anyway, why do you like those two ships so much?
I'll start with second one. The Razor Crest. I would say when the show first starts, everyone's like, the Razor Crest is really old and bulky, this and that. But there was one specific episode. I'm trying to remember. It was in season 2. Do you remember the one where they're on Navarro? I'm trying to remember these. When you don't think about episodes for a while.
The episode 4, when they take the Mythrol and they go into the Imperial facility, right?
Yes. Yep. What the heck?
We know our Mando.
I was about to be like, so they go to this science lab for something.
Yep.
No, y'all know. The end of that episode where, they're getting chased by the TIE fighter, and then Mando comes in and the Razor Crest, just the maneuvers that he pulls, one specifically when, he's coming from the top, they're coming from the bottom. It was at that moment I was like, this ship is awesome. So that's why it's second favorite.
So did you cry a few episodes later when it got blown up?
When it blew up.
I didn't cry. I was just like, I
thought it was
still feel
fake.
that. I felt like it just like a piece of my heart got ripped out, and it's still like, it's just like, yeah. That was
my
sad,
question with that is that, did you think he had any frozen people on board when that thing got blown up?
Carbonite people, probably not.
Because when he landed in season 1, I think it was episode 1 or 2.
Yeah,
he had a pretty
unloaded.
good amount
he had
of
a
them.
lot, and we never see him unload all those people. You think he was just flying around with bodies, and then all
Let's
of a sudden
talk about this.
blow up?
I don't know. That's a whole other discussion.
Either he ditched the bodies somewhere because there's no way he turned the bounties in, or they are still
because he
on the
couldn't
ship.
because they're all after him. So he couldn't pay in.
Exactly.
Dude, he had all those bodies. He just killed like 10 extra people.
That's probably why he's sitting there like, oh my gosh.
But they were all. But you could see him when he's walking. They wasn't there when he was walking back and forth like and stuff. And earlier in the season,
it was
he hid them. He had to put them behind a curtain or something. So
you don't want Grogu to be
baby
like, girl,
can see him.
What is all this?
Why do you get some frozen people here?
Yeah. Like, be good or you're next.
Right.
Also, that is such a cool that part of the ship was so dope when he could just like freeze people and carbonite in the middle of the ship.
Right? I thought that was awesome too.
That's why it doesn't make sense. His new ship isn't practical, but that's a different.
I'm a fan just because
it's cool. This is not practical.
I agree with that.
Where's the bathroom?
Storage wise. There isn't one. You just gotta hold it.
Yeah, it's so fast that he can get to whatever system he needs to take.
Because that's how the Force works.
Yep.
Let's just hope the baby doesn't have to go to the bathroom. That's when the problem is.
Changing his diaper.
We're 2 parsecs away. You gotta hold it. Come on, Grogu. All right.
But the razor or not the
slave one.
Slave one. Actually, the reason why it's my number 1 favorite is because of seismic charges.
Oh yeah.
It is the most satisfying sound.
Yep.
And whenever I come across like Instagram videos, where it just has it on a loop, I'll just sit there. And I'm like, I can't scroll. I'm just gonna keep listening. But I like the build of it. How when they're parked, I'm gonna say parked, how it's facing one way, and then when it lifts up, just how the whole inside rotates with it. That's super cool, and how we got to see that in Mando for the first time and actually turning. Plus, it's Boba Fett's ship. Boba Fett is one of my favorite characters.
Dude, so where did you find this person, Jeremiah?
I told you on Instagram randomly.
Just randomly. Oh, podcast.
Yep.
James Arnold Taylor.
It's kind of funny because I've been playing Star Wars Outlaws, and then there's a mission I break in the Jabba's palace, and I'm going through like the vent system or whatever. And there's like one vent that's like open into a room, and you can like look in, and Boba Fett's there talking to. He's just at a table talking to a guy. You don't interact with him or anything, but I'm like, Boba Fett? I'm like Han Solo. Boba Fett?
I would spend hours trying to find a way into that room in that game. Like, I just want to go talk to him.
All right, cool. Well, those are your 2 favorite starships, but what are your top 2 lightsabers?
This one I spent racking my brain for days trying to come up with 2 because it's hard for me to narrow it down because I have so many favorites. But I did. I would say second favorite is Cal Kestis.
Ooh.
Okay.
Which it's not a normal choice. I so badly wanted to put Obi-Wan in here, but I didn't. But everyone knows how much I love Obi-Wan, so it's okay. I like how it's customizable in the game. Yeah. So I think, and just the layout of it just looks really cool. I actually especially like his like dirtied up, frayed looking one. Like that version of it.
That's his master's saber, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it got damaged.
Y'all know better than I do.
Yep.
Jeremiah's played them.
Yep.
He knows.
Yeah. So that's second favorite. First favorite is definitely Ahsoka. Season 7.
Season 7. All right.
Not the thick ones. I like it.
Yeah. I was debating actually choosing her Rebels ones. But I think season 7, that was, just a really special moment when she gets her lightsabers back and everything. So I went with that.
Yep, that's a common answer on our interviews is Ahsoka season 7.
I would assume that, yeah.
I think that was my number 1, I think. When we did our top 5 sabers, I think season 7 Ahsoka sabers was my number 1. I can't remember.
See, I need top 5. I know we don't have any time for that.
I know.
But
she's ready to go all in top 5s.
Yep.
Let's talk about this.
All right, Drew, what's up next?
Great question. Let me find it again. All right. Your top 2 favorite droids.
This is actually really easy. Second favorite, Chopper. Because he is a menace to society. And I relate to that. But anyway, I mean, I'm not.
You're a menace? Oh.
I'm not. I want to say I'm not a murderer, psychopath, any of that. But every time he does things or whatever, and it's always the snarky comments after he does something. It's so funny, and how you can almost understand what he's saying.
You know what he's saying without knowing what he's saying.
Well, I like when people make videos of them putting subtitles to it.
On what he's saying.
Like, especially the one in the Ahsoka series when Hera and him are chasing after the ship, just leaving, and they're arguing. Like, someone did it, and it's an actual real good conversation about them arguing, and it actually makes sense. Like, it's, I don't know, it's pretty
know
amazing.
Exactly the one you're talking about, actually, and it's a headcanon. That's
like,
that's
did
exactly
you touch my
what
stuff
said.
again? And Hera's like, no, I didn't. He's like, yes, you
did. Yeah.
I've not seen that, and now I want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm sure if you look it up, it's probably pretty popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Chopper. Number 1, though, R2-D2. All the way.
Classic. All right.
Which, again, it's because it's I'm definitely a big original Star Wars fan. And so when R2 first came in, and he's just like, Obi-Wan, he's trying to find Obi-Wan, Leia gives him a mission. I'm like, this droid is so adamant and stubborn. And then watching the prequels when, how close he is with Anakin and all of this stuff. And then the Clone Wars is when it was really solidified, how much I liked him. So yeah, he's
he was
fun little droid.
There at Leia's birth and at Leia's death. And he's never had his memory wiped, so he has memory of it all, which
he
is
just knows everything. That's another thing I like about him, is that he knows so much, but he doesn't tell everything. He's like on a need-to-know basis with him.
His PTSD is through the roof, though. That's probably why.
Oh, I'm sure he definitely. Definitely. And some of those behind the scenes cut, or have you ever heard the one? It's from one of the novels of Revenge of the Sith, a conversation with C-3PO, I think, and R2-D2. Again, I told you I'm notorious for, I think it was this. It definitely happened. I just don't know when. It was in one of the books. C-3PO asks, like, hey, what's going on with Anakin? And he's like, I don't know. We don't really talk much anymore. Like, just something like, it's just so sad.
Oh,
and
dang.
then when you think of that conversation, watching Revenge of the Sith, when they go to Mustafar and like R2-D2 knows what's about to happen, and just
he's like, R2, stay with the ship.
Yeah,
like, R2's
exactly.
probably like, oh no. Like, I've been watching this guy for years. I know what's about to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of sad.
That's really depressing.
All right, moving on.
All right.
Next.
That hits different.
Top 2 creatures in Star Wars.
Okay, number 2. In the Bad Batch season 3, they introduced Batcher.
Yes.
The dog. I don't know what species it is.
I don't remember.
But I probably wouldn't like any other species except Batcher,
Right.
I thought it was cute that they had like a dog-like character, which actually makes answer number 1 really funny because number 1 is Lothcats.
Right.
When they were, in Rebels and stuff, and Ezra has connections with the Lothcats and Loth Wolves, all that stuff. I just thought the Lothcats were really cute. And when I was younger, I really wanted one. So.
Yeah, Retzi in the chat says that they're called Lurka Hounds.
Lurka Hounds, yes.
Which is, now that I read that, I kind of vaguely remember that.
As soon as you said it, I remember that.
This is why we have the live streams in the chat so people can fact check us and answer quick look up stuff for us if we need to. So thank
Makes
you.
us sound good.
Yeah, Red Sea.
Yeah, dang, I think we need to start doing that because I think we drive people crazy when we're sitting there for like a solid minute trying to remember something.
You could probably get good comments because of that because you didn't remember something.
Usually we'll get DMs on Instagram like, oh, by the way.
This is what you guys should have said.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, we Googled it. Or I will do that. I will Google it and then come like, guys, I just know this off the top of my head. But I really didn't.
Fun.
Yeah, the chat cheats for us.
Yep.
All right. The next one is your top 2 favorite musical themes / songs.
This was the hardest question that you guys gave me.
Uh-oh.
Because I am the biggest score nerd. And I can't even pick top 2 from like one show, one episode, things like that. It's very hard. So I finally did. I settled on 2, even though I like a top 10 would be preferable, but it's okay.
Top 10.
Exactly.
Girl, crazy. Top
100. But anyway, the main theme for Star Wars because it's just iconic and it just reminds me of watching it for the first time. Second one, actually no. I'm gonna stay with this. The first one. Second one is main theme. The first one is one that I've just liked pretty consistently over the years is Anakin's betrayal from Revenge of the Sith. That one is one of my favorites.
That one's pretty good.
It's really sad, but I really like it. And I like how they put it into the Clone Wars Season 7. Like specifically the part with in the movie when Anakin's at Mustafar and then when Ahsoka's fighting Rex and Order 66 is happening. Just the way the music lines up is so cool.
Yeah.
Tearjerker.
You forget how fast like episode 3 is so quick when you watch like those last 4 episodes of like Clone Wars. Because I was watching them today because Miles loves watching them now. Like Ahsoka and Maul fighting is like his favorite thing in the world. My 3-year-old, he just loves it. He doesn't understand like anything really, but he loves watching them like duel. And so I was like watching, I'm like, dude, this is so fast. Like you forget how fast that movie actually is. Like it's literally like hours.
Yeah, before Season 7 came out, I always thought Revenge of the Sith was like months long of time period. And then that comes out and we learn it's literally like 2 days. And I was like, dang, that changes everything. Like pretty crazy. But
it's kind of hard too because like Padme is like not showing, and then
all of a sudden she's having the kids.
She has the big like bulky dress on when she reveals to Anakin. But and I don't even know, like, you know, obviously when they were born, like the babies were like looked like they were 9 months. Like, but it seemed like
they looked older than they were.
Well, I know, but I'm seeing like they weren't like premature looking babies, so I'm guessing she was close to 9 months pregnant. But like, obviously, it was premature. Like,
I think they were premature though because of what happened made her give birth early.
Yeah,
like that would put anyone in labor. Getting choked like that, you're going in labor.
Yep. I was gonna say something. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna say it.
I saw the wheels turning there.
So what was it? That was songs. All right. So next up,
you're gonna have to say it later, though.
I'll tell you when we're
really curious.
Next up, top 2 favorite funny moments in Star Wars. There's a lot of funny things because Star Wars isn't just us crying during Clone Wars, like Order 66 and stuff like that. So funny moments. What are your top 2?
They're not as well known. There's one. Actually, you guys might know it. You knew the Mando scene. I'm trying to think of which order. Sorry, just thinking about it. I'm trying to think of which order to put them in. I would probably go with y'all know like the Gathering arc when the this is in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The Force sensitive kids go to get their crystals. They end up lost in space. Hondo captures them.
Yep.
This and that. So they end up putting on that circus act to try and distract a drunk Hondo. You know the part where they like launch him into the air and Hondo's just like, I'm flying.
Yeah.
And then he like whacks a pole, flips upside down, and just like smacks the ground. Me and Sierra, because we watched the Clone Wars together. When we first saw that, we were literally rolling in tears, and we just kept rewinding that part over and over again. It's one of those things, like, the more you watch it, the funnier it gets. And just, like, the sounds, because this is all, like, you know, the sounds are added in later. So, like, the fact that someone's like, what does it sound like when you whack a pole? And, like, this and that, it's just so funny. So it's not a very well-known or common funny moment, but the next one actually is even more uncommon and really random. It just goes to show where me and my sister's sense of humor lies. But this is the Malevolence arc, the beginning of the Clone Wars.
It's like season 1 or something like that.
Yeah, like season 1. It's like one of the first arcs, right after the one with like Yoda and the clones.
Right.
But it's one part because they're on the ship trying to rescue Padme. And C-3PO gets separated from like Anakin and Obi-Wan. I think this is how the episode went. But anyway, all that to say, there's all the trains, and at one point, 3PO gets like hit by a train, and he's like stuck at the front of it, getting pushed along. But
I don't remember that, but
I know I didn't think anyone would. But there's one part where the train like screeches to a halt, but the momentum, he still goes, and he like goes flying through the air and smacks into the wall. The sound that it makes is just so like such a solid thud. That was another moment. Me and Sierra were like, because it started with, he smacked that wall pretty hard, and we're like, we got to go back and hear that again. So that we go back and listen again, and then again, and we just start cracking up in tears. Like, this is so random, but it's like one of our favorite funny moments in all of Star Wars.
So today on Instagram, I was just going through someone that we follow is this Australian girl, the Ray side. Like, she does like Star Wars podcast, Star Wars everything, and she posted like a little video of like she muted episode 2, and she was like doing the sound effects like just as it was muted. I feel like you girls with your love for all these sound effects, like you could do that for like video clips of like muting a scene and just like doing the sound effects. She did ironically the seismic charge scene from episode 2.
I want to hear that now. I'm interested. I feel like Ruby would be really good at that.
Yeah.
She's the one making all the sound effects when we record.
Fun.
That I have to cut out, but maybe I'll start keeping them.
Yeah, you gotta keep them in. That's what we do. Whenever we have terrible moments that are like, actually, like whenever we be in an episode, like, well, let's keep them in because it's funny.
Yeah, I started doing that. By the time we started doing the Bad Batch season 3, I started keeping a lot more things. Because I'm like, you know what? We're stupid, but we already knew that. Now everyone will know we're stupid, so it's okay.
All right, Drew.
All right, your top 2 favorite. I said quest for a second.
Quotes.
I was like quest.
This is another hard one because I was torn between like my favorite quotes that are like just really good ones, and then like my most used quotes.
That's fair. That's fair.
I would say this is another really random one, but I'm saying it because me and Sierra say it all the time. Is another Clone Wars episode. Which one is this? I think it's when Hondo is first introduced, and Anakin, you know, he got himself captured on purpose, and then Obi-Wan comes in to rescue him, and like Dooku's chasing them, or they're chasing Dooku.
They're tethered to Dooku.
No, it's not that one. It's the episode right before that one.
Oh,
it's the same arc, but they crash landed on this planet, and they're trying to find...
they get the drinks? And like Hondo's like changing the drinks?
It's even before that one.
Oh,
it's like they're on this remote, desolate planet stuck in a cave. It's in the same arc, though, because that's at the end of the episode, Dooku meets Hondo, and it's like, hey, can I come aboard your ship, and blah blah blah, this and that. But they're just in this cave in the dark, Obi-Wan and Anakin, and Obi-Wan's lightsaber's broke, and he's trying to fix it. Meanwhile, Anakin's like in the background, like, he finds this Vancor, that's chasing him and attacking him, and he's talking to Obi-Wan like, I could use a little help, and Obi-Wan's just being Obi-Wan, like, oh no, you're doing fine. And then Anakin yells, he's like, I thought Vancors were, or no. What's the name of the creature? It's not, they're on Vancor. No. I forgot the name of the creature.
Oh.
But he says, I thought blah blah blahs were only found on Vancor, and then Obi-Wan says, then this system must be Vancor. Me and Sierra, for some reason, we say that quote all the time. Whenever we say, like, oh, I thought, this was gonna happen today, then we just say, then this system must be Vancor. So that's one of my favorite quotes, just because we take it out of context.
Obi-Wan's sarcasm in the Clone Wars is some of the best
Top
sarcasm
so good.
in writing history.
Especially that episode, that whole like opening sequence is just Obi-Wan just riffing off of
Yaretsi
Anakin.
Says a Gundark.
Gundark, yes, thank you. You know everything, or you're Googling everything.
She's probably Googling, or she's that good. She's smart. So
she's from Texas. It's a Texas thing,
See, I'm not from Texas, so I didn't get the brain.
Lives in Texas, but not from.
It's slowly over the years. I'm getting a little bit smarter. No, it's all that, when you're like put on the spot trying to remember something really fast.
Story of our lives.
We say the full quote all the time, but in this moment I'm like, I cannot remember what it's called.
Yeah, understandable.
Right. But yeah, number one, hello there. I feel like I'd be a bad Star Wars fan if I didn't say that, but it is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
wasn't mine. I'm pretty sure we had the same one, right, Jeremiah?
I think ours were I Am No Jedi.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I think that's what ours were.
The one I use the most, though, I've been saying a lot lately, is you've done that yourself.
You do that. You say that a lot. You say it at the Grace a lot, too. Like,
yeah, I know. I use it all the time, and people don't understand what I'm saying. Like, when someone will mess up at work, I'm like, you have done that yourself. And then they're like, yeah, I know, I did it. I'm like, oh, you don't understand.
Never mind. Uncultured.
Yeah. Uncultured.
I do that a lot, actually, at work. I'll say Star Wars quotes like that are very subtle, and they'll be like, haha, yeah. And I'm like, no.
I've done that, too, before. Just a joke to myself. It's like, if only they knew.
Mm-hmm.
If only it would hit different. But it's okay. Sometimes it's funner to, like, sneak them in there.
Yeah.
Because like one of our regular listeners / like friends, Tanner, everyone knows who he is, but he comes in all the time to my work, and so there's been times where I've like said stuff to him, and he'll get it, and then no one else understands what we're talking about. It's like speaking a different language completely.
Exactly.
And people are just like, "You guys are weird," and we're like, "Yeah, I know." It's fine.
We already knew this about ourselves.
Yep. All right. Well, next up, top 2 characters.
Ooh.
There's a lot of characters in Star Wars. We gotta narrow them down to 2. Who do you got?
Not 100. 2.
Yeah, I wish I could do 100 again, but I would say number 2 is Luke Skywalker.
Oh dang!
Ooh. Yeah, which is hard because with all the new stuff that comes out, it's easy to be like, oh, like Hunter from the Bad Batch is my favorite because he's like one of my favorite clones. But I would say Luke, because just growing up, I loved Luke Skywalker, and he was like the only Jedi that I knew from the originals, so he's like the first Jedi that I was really attached to.
I think you're the first one, right, to pick Luke at top 2.
Really?
Maybe.
I want to say, yeah.
Maybe that guy, the Marvel guy that we had, maybe he would have had him. I can't remember. That was like 3 years ago or something.
I could see that. Yeah.
But
yeah.
He was a little older, so that wouldn't make sense. But yeah.
Yeah. Number 1 though is Obi-Wan.
Wow.
Okay. Cool.
He is my favorite character in all of Star Wars.
Wow. That's exciting. And what's your favorite thing about Obi-Wan? Like, is it what is the reason he's your number one? Is it because of any certain qualities? Is it like a moment or humor, his whole life story?
I know my brain just went like everything. It's from the humor, sarcasm, his story. Like he's one of the greatest Jedi in my opinion, just because of his dedication to the Order. Even though, by the end of it, the Order was pretty broken, but how, convicted he was. And then even after the Order fell and he was, he lost his best friends, he lost the Order, which he was so attached to, how he decided to like keep going and stay on the light side. Even when he lost Satine, he didn't give in to the dark side. And then he took on Luke, protecting him. He's just such an amazing character. And on top of that, he's sarcastic. He looks amazing. His costumes, outfits, everything. His classic Obi-Wan pose and all of this. He's my favorite Jedi.
Cool.
Sweet.
Well, now we're at a little breaking point. So, if you are thinking about your favorite Star Wars characters and you don't know who is your number one, maybe you just need to take a moment and order some awesome coffee and think about it over a hot beverage. So if you're interested in a little discount on some great coffee or tea, if you like tea, take a listen to this commercial break from Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor of today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that whether you live in the Twin Cities or not, you can get their coffee beans delivered straight to your door by ordering them online. They even have a subscription service that ensures you never run out of amazing coffee. If you've been looking for some new coffee to try or a way to elevate your normal coffee routine, now's your chance. Head over to wesleyandrews.cc, use the code EMPIRERADIO, that's with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, to get 15% off your first purchase of any bags of coffee or a coffee subscription. I can't think of a better deal. Get 15% off some great coffee, support a small business, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
All right. Well, now we get into some more juicy topics. So, Drew, what's up next?
All right. So we just did our top 2 favorite
characters.
So now we're on our top 2 favorite moments.
Ooh, this is a juicy one.
If I start like talking for way too long, tell me to move on.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Because all these questions, I can have, paragraph monologues about these, awesome. Which I will try to condense.
I don't need you to quote the moment completely. No, I'm just kidding.
I just start acting it out. Yeah. So then it's over it again. No, standing on the couch. But let's see. Number 2 would be when Luke showed up in The Mandalorian.
Oh,
you can't tell, I like Luke.
Right.
That's all. That's pretty good.
I would say for some reason, which me and Sierra, again, Sierra comes up a lot because we watch every new Star Wars thing together. And for some reason, like it hit us so hard watching the finale. We were huddled in front of a laptop watching it. And, the end it's getting pretty intense, and it's like this classic, like, I have no idea what's going to happen and how they're going to get out of this one. Because they left no room for, maybe this, maybe that, It was just all, the odds are stacked against them. And then when the X-Wing flies by the window, we were like, who the heck is that? Like, we were so excited. Like, is it this? Is it Ezra? Is it so-and-so? Is it, or is it just some random person showing up, happens to be in an X-Wing? But then as soon as the lightsaber comes out and we're like, that is Luke Skywalker. But then at the same time, we were like, no, it's not. It's not Luke.
It's the hand.
Like,
you got to look at the hand.
No way. We're like, it looks like him. It's the green. I love how they didn't show the green lightsaber right away. It's like a black and white camera that they're watching the security footage on. But then you see the green, and he's just so powerful. Like, just the droids that were just beating the heck out of these people, he's just like taking out with a swipe and like crushing them with the Force. And then he finally walks in, takes off the hood. Me and Sierra are in tears streaming down our face. I have the audio, which probably won't see the light of day.
Oh, come on.
Because I'll record our reactions to everything, just a voice recording. Mm-hmm. I started doing it at that episode. Actually, was the first one. Which maybe I will. Maybe I'll put it on I'll put it on the Instagram, like on a story or something for 24 hours.
Line it up with like the video, just so you can see it.
You just hear us. But at the same time, you don't want to hear us. We're just a mess. Like,
no, we do.
Oh my gosh!
Everyone wants to know.
Luke. So yeah, it was so funny. And then like the whole rest of the entire episode, we're just sobbing and everything that happens. Grogu's leaving. It was so good. The score, that's another thing. The whole time we were like, listen to the score, it's so beautiful. And so then the credits roll and we're still crying. We cried for like an hour. So that's why it's one of my favorite moments. It's just because even later, like the next day, we're like, why were we crying so hard? Like, I don't understand it. But it hit.
When you're in that moment, like, me and Jeremiah watched the last season 1 of Mando, the last episode together. Mm-hmm. And I still remember that moment. We were like freaking out with that Darksaber came out.
I jumped up off the couch. I was like, we were like hooting and hollering. And then like right after we recorded our breakdown of it. Like,
wow. You know what's funny? I did not know what the Darksaber was at the time.
Oh, dang.
Wow. So, like, he shows up, and I was like, that looks sick. I don't know what that is. And so
we
then
were freaking out.
I watched the
just
Clone
like,
Wars.
how did he get it?
When you first saw it in the Clone Wars, then, like, what was your reaction? Because
like, it's that thing!
Yeah.
I was like, what's it called? Because even then, like, I wasn't plugged into the Star Wars community, so I didn't hear anyone even talking about it.
Right.
Until I, like, watched the Clone Wars, and I was like, oh, that would have hit a lot harder if I watched this first.
That makes sense.
So now when I watch it, I'm like, imagine if I knew what that was at the time. Like, I would have flipped out.
Yeah, you would have been just like Drew and I.
We were so confused. We were like, how did he get it? Like, it didn't make sense. What is going on?
Yeah, a lot of questions.
But a lot of people watched that show and had no idea. So
yeah. It was like that for Mando, because a lot of people, you know, especially when Ahsoka was introduced too. Oh, new girl, she's orange.
Like, oh, honey, she's been around for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Ain't that new?
She ain't new.
All right, what's your number 1 moment?
Let me see what I have here. Oh, the end of The Return of the Jedi. I remember again as a kid,
like the Ewok scene, or like
kind of the
Vader
whole
dying,
last 15 minutes.
The theme song,
okay.
Like from the time Vader turns back to good, he dies, and then everyone's having a party. And then, you know, Luke's having the funeral for Vader. And then, you know, he sees all the Force ghosts and Anakin's there. Just like the whole moment, everyone's happy. I was like, wow, like this movie, you know, trilogy that I watched ended so good. And it just felt really satisfying. And I appreciate it more now than I did as a kid. Because when I was a kid, I was like, oh, that was awesome, you know. But now I'm like, that was a really great conclusion to, you know, this whole story that they told, even going back, you know, now watching the prequels and everything. So until it was ruined.
Yaretsi says in the chat, when the Ewoks are eating the stormtroopers.
That is one of my favorite, like, I wouldn't even say conspiracy theory video because it's true.
I think
but when they're like, you guys see those stormtrooper helmets, like. And like they were gonna cook and eat Luke, so
and
Han, so they would definitely. I just love how they're all still having a party, you know.
So
like
You are aware that there's 2 different endings to Return of the Jedi with the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Yub Nub. You know that? Okay.
I only learned about this like a year or 2 ago.
What?
Like,
Really?
I didn't even know about that.
See, I used to before we had our podcast, I used to watch the original trilogy with the original editions before they were edited. I had a VHS player, and that's the only thing I ever played on it was the original trilogy.
Would you watch it with like the original Anakin who wasn't Hayden?
Yeah, it was just Vader.
Yeah.
So that like when they changed all the songs and stuff, it like threw me off. So I didn't know you didn't know that. That's why when I picked, what was it last week? Was it last week I did it or 2 weeks ago?
No, it was 2 weeks ago. It was with the news.
This song, so much better. It hits so much. And now
we got copyrighted strike on that one.
No, it wasn't long enough. It hits so much different though than the new.
I agree. It's definitely different. But me and Sierra, again, her whole thing is Ewoks. Oh. And because we all have different outros when we end our podcast, we have different catchphrases. Hers is Yub Nub because of the song. And every time it comes up in our playlist, like we just start belting it. We learned the words so that we could sing along.
To that version or the original?
To that, the Yub Nub, each up, Yub Nub. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
I'm not guilty, or I'm not, what's the word? Ashamed that I know the words to that song.
Yeah, that one hits different than the new one is.
Although
quieter. And...
that score, that was the one I watched as a kid. Mm-hmm. So it is special to me because every time I hear it, I'm like, it's just like that, like, oh, everything's okay. And, it was just such a good ending.
Because even the Jabba Palace song is different. They changed it really? That. Yeah. So like there was an original song, but now
I'm wondering which version I know. That's the one I know.
Yeah, that's the one
they added the CGI singer.
Yeah, because it was a different singer before. So like,
it was this. I think it was the same, but they just made a digital model of her instead and replaced her that way.
Yeah, maybe I don't remember.
But it was the same like character in Alien Species, but they just
changed the song.
Yeah.
CG. Because that species is kind of a weird looking thing, and they made a puppet out of it, so it looks better, I guess, with the CGI character. But
they need to go back through and like re-CGI them again, like the whole thing. Because some of those, when they're like walking, like the stormtroopers like on those things, I'm like, bro, well, let's redo that.
That's part of the beauty of Star Wars, though, is just how cringe.
It was
some
beautiful
are.
Before when it wasn't CGI. I think it was more beautiful.
It's true.
Now it's
true.
But it isn't like on like the original, like when on Hoth, when there's the no, I'm drawing a blank.
The Yeti.
The Yeti. What is it?
It's not. I just looked this up the other day.
Why am I blanking on this? What's the abominable snowman? What is this? What's the
my lord!
Drew, this is your favorite. One of your favorite?
Literally just argued with Miles about this because he watched it the other day and he was calling it Snowman, and I was like, "No, it's not. What was it?"
That's so cute, though.
Your Etsy's gonna get it for us.
Help us out.
Wampa.
It's Wampa.
I was gonna say, one of those things you gotta remember it.
But there's this, isn't it in the original, like, when the Wampa arm is coming in, it's just like on a stick or whatever, and like you see the end of the stick. Like
maybe.
I think that's a thing. And they fixed
I remember hearing something about that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that originally it was there was a mistake.
Yeah. There's a couple of those where it's like but there's so many good ones, like the good parts. I think sometimes that CGI kind of like overlays a little bit too much. Like George was kind of getting excited about it.
I was gonna say, especially at the time, because it wasn't, the CGI that we have now. So it just looks very fake.
Yeah.
Hey, but CGI Yoda looks pretty good though in the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy.
Yes.
I prefer that over that puppet that they had in episode 1, and they replaced
that's aggressive.
They they made Yoda cooler, I think, by CGI because he was able to do more things.
Yes,
instead of being some
flip.
kooky
Imagine
old
him trying to flip with a puppet.
Man.
They just throw the puppet in the air and he just turns
Can you
around.
Imagine how many takes
it's just
that
a guy
would take?
going like this, like a doll.
He just throws them.
Did you get it?
You have Ian trying to act with that. Like, how do I, swing at this puppet?
All right, moving on. Top 2 least favorite moments in Star Wars. So what did you hate? Did you just annoyed by? What disappointed by? What are your top?
I'm glad you guys asked this question. Actually,
I remember when we had a little test run or whatever, just make sure everything's set up right a few weeks ago. Like you're like, I got something to say about these least favorite moments. I'm like, I'm excited for this one.
Free pass to hate on Star Wars. No, I'm kidding. Actually, one of them kind of is that, but let me start with second least favorite was when Pong Krell showed up in the Clone Wars.
Ooh.
Because I do not like that guy. Although I will give him, I love the story that came out of it.
Oh yeah, the Umbara arc is one of the best.
Yes, it is so good. But them learning, that they, just not blindly following orders, which makes Order 66 even sadder when they can't even help it. But just everything about that guy, every single scene, I do not like that guy. Me and Sierra, have you seen those memes? Actually, I just thought of when Pong Krell shows up and it's like a dude throwing a chair at the TV.
No,
I'm gonna have to find it so I can show y'all. But that's basically me and Sierra's attitude when we watch Pong Krell show up. It's just like, I hate this guy and everything he says. So that's number 2. Number 1, my least favorite moment in all of Star Wars was actually in the sequels when Ben Solo died.
Ooh.
That's like one of Drew's favorite moments in Star Wars.
Really?
Okay, explain why you hate.
Let me break it down.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the sequels. At all.
Respect.
That's not a hot take.
That's not hot. That's normal.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's not even lukewarm. It's just there.
I don't like the sequels. I really don't like them. But Ben Solo was probably his character was a piece of work, and I feel like his story was really loose. But overall, it was there, him fighting to, this good and bad kind of a thing. And then he decides to go back to the light side only to die, saving Rey.
Well, yeah, but how is that different than Vader, though? Like, he comes back to the light side, saves
Vader's
his son, dies.
story, here's the difference with Vader and with Kylo Ren.
I'm about to get in a debate right now.
Let's go.
It's because Anakin, from a kid, was so heavily influenced with the dark side by Palpatine, and there was nothing he could do. Like, even when he tried to do good, Palpatine was there just thwarting his mind, and just, in the end, it was Palpatine who made him join the dark side and all of this stuff. And then, Luke brings him back, which is it's just so cool to see that how far gone he was. No one was ever able to bring him back, not even Padme or Obi-Wan, but his son was able to, despite Palpatine being there. But Kylo Ren, he never really had anyone there pressuring him into the dark side. It was kind of the dark side is there and it's enticing for all Force sensitives, but it wasn't on the same level as Anakin, to where
from the movie's perspective, correct, but I think with the comics, I think that
if you get it,
Snoke was, because Leia has that line in Episode 7 that it was Snoke
who did it. Yeah, which actually, that point exactly is another thing that I don't like about the sequels, is because it is mainly Snoke who is pressuring Kylo Ren into, being a Sith, all of this stuff. And then in Episode 2 of the sequels, which is 8, how he just kind of on a whim kills Snoke instead of like kind of how Vader, it took Palpatine threatening his son and almost killing him to finally turn and realize, like, you know what, this isn't right, I'm gonna go back to the light. Whereas Kylo Ren was just kind of like in an instant, like, oh, there's this girl I kind of like, and let me just save her really quickly, you know. And like killing this guy who's been like pouring into him just seems like such a sloppy storyline that I didn't really like. So that's the difference with Kylo Ren and Vader to me. He's the knockoff version of Vader.
So here's my rebuttal. I would say that Kylo Ren's arc is the best thing about the sequel trilogy, but
I agree with that.
But I also think that I don't consider him to have a redemption arc per se, but I would say that his redemption arc is portrayed better than Anakin's redemption arc. Because I feel like Darth Vader's redemption was very like there wasn't a lot there. It was just like, oh, I got a son. Oh, like I want to like.
But to your point, Jeremiah, it's the same thing. Like a lot of his redemption and his like pushback towards that was we are getting now, and we've got in like Rebels a little bit, and we got in the Ahsoka. Like there is like pushback that Vader was doing, especially like even in the Kenobi show. Like he was like, Anakin's dead. This isn't Anakin anymore. So like you're seeing more of his development through that pushback.
Right, but I'm saying like his turn back to the light, I feel like
the love of your child is bigger than anything.
Well, I get that, but like you don't really see a lot of it because, you know, like this thing that I remember on like thinking on Endor when, you know, Luke turns himself in and they're having that calm and collective conversation and Vader's like, it's too late for me, son. Like it was just too simple. Like there wasn't a lot of depth to it, in my opinion. But with Kylo Ren's arc, like there's so much emotion and brokenness and all that stuff, and he's still striving for more and more power. The reason he kills Snoke is because he wants the throne for himself. Like he's still trying to earn his, you know, happiness by achieving power. And like it's not until he sees the value in life and realizes that his mother gave his life to save him, in a sense. Like I don't know, I think it's a much more in-depth arc than what we got from the original trilogy with Vader and / Anakin.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. Me and the girls always joke though too about like Star Wars is just like a family soap opera, you know?
Yeah.
And the whole galaxy is affected by this family. But I think with Vader, I'm gonna end with this on the whole Vader talk. Because I could talk all night about it. But I think what I really liked about it was Luke being the only one to save him. And I will agree, it was really quick, you know, really sudden shift that we didn't really get to see. It would have been cool to see it, you know, explored more. But I liked that it just showed Anakin's heart for his family and for his kids, because it was after, you know, losing Padme is what sealed the deal, is what made him this big, bad, ruthless guy. And then seeing him come back and being saved from his kid, you know, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ben, I think I was just a little more upset that he died. I would have liked to have seen his story continue, Rey staying dead, and him like coming back to the light. I know, I went there. But honestly, like him coming back to the light, and I mean, not even necessarily like showing up to the resistance, like, hey everybody, because they would probably be like, get this dude out of here. Yeah. But like him going out on his own, like, okay, let me try to, you know, grow in the light side of the Force.
Yeah, I think like for him, like to your point, Jeremiah, like he didn't really have a redemption arc, because like at that point there was not really a redemption he can do. Like he just had to save Rey, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. And then she sucked the life out of him. and like that was it. Like, because there's not really, especially in episode 8 when he was just like shooting Luke, I was like, oh, this guy's done for. Like, there's no coming back from this. Everyone saw that he was trying to kill this dude. Like, he doesn't care about anything but himself. So like he would have to be an outcast for a very long time and then slowly like do things to help just like rebuild the galaxy. Like maybe he was like he saved this one person, or he saved, like, it'd be such a long redemption arc that he could probably potentially do to get there. But
yeah, so I'd say that is my main point, and why I said is when Ben died was because we didn't get to see that. So that's why it's one of my least favorite moments.
Interesting. All right. You got one more, number 1, right?
No, that was her number.
That was number 1. The second one was Paul and Krell.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Krell.
We were just talking about so much. I'm like, I forgot where we were for a second.
I know. That was fun. That was a fun conversation.
All right. Your top 2 favorite deaths.
Number 1.
Number 2.
This is yeah, sorry, I meant number 2. I in my mind I went 1, 2 in reverse order. But anyway, was season 7 of the Clone Wars when Jesse died at the very end. That's one of the only times I've ever cried over a clone dying. And it wasn't, which is strange. You didn't even
see it really. You just know that he does. Like,
yeah. What's funny though is watching the whole show, I didn't have some like special attachment to Jesse or anything. I think it was just the storyline, the way everything went down, and he was the one who kind of took up the mantle when Ahsoka saved Rex. And so them just like fighting back and forth, and then it ending when it panned over to his helmet, I was like, oh no, I'm done for this show.
All that happened in that moment, and you knew what was going on too in the behind the scenes at the same time.
Exactly. I think it was just a mixture, like combination of everything in my mind, like Order 66 and like thinking of the movie and everything that happened. It hit me like a wall. So now rewatching the Clone Wars, whenever I see like Jesse scenes, I'm like, it's Jesse, like my favorite guy. Oh, no. Because his death that I guess made me attached to him, which is strange, but
it works.
A lot of Star Wars is laced with heartbreak, so
that's fair.
Yeah, but number 1 is definitely Darth Vader.
Ooh.
Because
for the same reason that you didn't like Ben's death, because you wanted to see him live longer?
Actually, it's a lot more simple than that, because I watched Star Wars when I was like 10. I saw this movie for the first time, and my only reason was like, I just don't want him to die, because the whole second movie, kind of halfway through there, when it started, like, he started getting more depth to him, just the fact that he's tied to Luke, and Luke was such a big character for me. I'm like, I want Luke to have his dad, and for his dad to be there for him. And so then the whole last movie, I'm like, I just want him to be good. And Luke's, arguing and pleading with him to, like, come back to the light side. And he finally does. And then as he's dying, I'm just like, no, like, they're finally there. And I just want to see them be together. And so, yeah, it's very simple, but it broke my heart as a kid. I just wanted him to stay alive.
Interesting. All right. Well, next up, what is your number 1 Star Wars hot take?
This is one I thought about for a couple days, because I feel like I have a lot of hot takes, but I couldn't come up with any, like, off the top of my head. And I knew, I'm like, I just need to, like, put on an episode of something, and one will come to mind. But there is one. This one is a little, it's rooted more in, like, a fanon thing. Is, how there's the popular theory that Corky Kryze is Obi-Wan and Satine's son?
Yep.
No, he's not. I don't agree with that. And that, I would say that's my hot take, because growing up all through high school and stuff, I had friends who were like, Corky is their kid. And we would have these long debates about him because I'm like, no, he's not, for the sole purpose of his name. I just wasn't a fan of the name.
That's why.
And if Obi-Wan's gonna have a kid, it's gonna be a good name. It's not gonna be
Corky. My closing argument would be Obi-Wan would never name his kid Corky or never have a kid named Corky.
That's fair.
I mean, there were other reasons too, but that was the main one.
Okay.
But I would say it's not a very common hot take. I don't even know if it is a hot take.
I think the hot take is usually the opposite, that it is his
I just go against
kid, but that's my nephew Corky.
The chat, she has a good point.
I'm sorry if anyone out there is named Corky. And it's the spelling, it's not the name, because I know someone named Corky and he's very
someone
nice.
named Corky?
What?
It's spelled with a C. Corky. He is one of the nicest guys I will ever know.
Shout out
to you, I never made that connection that it had the same name.
Dude, that's like a dog's name.
How is it spelled in the Clone Wars? What is
It's with a K. Korkie, I believe. Corky Kryze. And that's another thing, is that it's like double K, Corky Kryze. It just we actually talked about this.
It rolls off the tongue.
It sounds like a cereal or something like that. It just like get your.
They
Corky
pulled a
Kryze.
Marvel, like Miles Morales, Peter Parker.
Yeah. But see, Miles Morales is really cool. It's a cool name. Peter Parker, iconic.
Yeah, that's fair.
Corky Kryze.
Corky Kryze. Nah. Like,
also,
no.
That's wild to me that you know someone named Corky.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I know a lot of people with interesting names like that, but that's funny since I'm so against that name.
Our other co-host, he knew a kid named Anakin.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew an Anakin from a Comic-Con when we went to Fan Expo Dallas 2023. It was during Hayden's panel. There was some kid in the crowd. His name was Anakin.
Was he young or was he like old?
He was young. He was there with his dad. His dad named him Anakin.
Yeah, we know what happened.
That's kind of crazy.
You just doomed your kid, so it's okay.
And if your kid doesn't like Star Wars.
Oh, Anakin becomes a Star Trek fan. Ooh. That'd be pretty funny.
Out of resentment, though.
Disowned.
Yeah, no.
All right. Well, Drew, what's up next?
All right. Rank the trilogies. I feel like we already know.
Yeah, we kind of. There's not a lot of variation, just because there's only a few options of how people can do it. But how would you rank the three trilogies from number 3, 2, and then your favorite?
Oh wait, from 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
So least favorite
to most favorite. Got you.
So we can probably guess, but
the sequels.
All right, next up.
I almost just straight up said the originals, but we won't go there. The second favorite, I'd probably say sequels. I mean prequels. Sorry.
Okay.
Similar in the name. So it goes sequels, prequels, originals.
That's mine.
That's how a lot of people do it. Usually, there's only been, I think Maria had sequels as her favorite.
Really?
Yeah. Does that put a wrench in your friendship with her?
I'm gonna talk to her. No, I'm kidding. No.
But why would you say? I guess my question would be, why is the prequels in the middle? Because why isn't it your number one? I should say.
That's a good question, because I almost put the prequels as my favorite, because they're the movies I definitely watch the most. But I would say it's probably because I definitely watched the sequels more. I mean, every time I say sequels, assume I mean prequels. I definitely watched the prequels more than the originals, but there's just something about like those first 3 movies where like the lore is just all established and the characters, the storytelling is just so amazing. So I'd say that's why it's my favorite, and it has a lot of my favorite characters in there.
Cool. All right. Last category, the biggest one. Rank all 11 movies.
So I had to look up like a list because I'm like, there's really 11 movies. Like, I don't want to miss one.
9 episodes, Rogue One, and Solo. So start at your bottom. You don't really have to explain it necessarily. Just kind of just list them off as you go, and then if we have questions, we'll ask. But start at the bottom, number 11, and work your way up.
Okay, so it goes. Let's pull up the list here: The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, Solo, Rogue One, The Phantom Menace, A New Hope, Attack of the Clones, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, and Return of the Jedi.
Oh, dang. All right.
Oh, wow.
I know. I read through those really fast.
No, that's fine. So we understand why your bottom 3 are your 3.
I'm surprised you didn't swap the first 2 around.
Like from the bottom or from the top?
Like The Last Jedi was above Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, in my opinion, it just went like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like they just progressively got worse.
So a big question I have is, why is Rogue One like in the middle of your list and not higher
that too.
up?
That kind of
because usually what happens is like episode 3 and Rogue One are usually people's top 3 usually. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out how long I'm gonna make this answer. Because Rogue One is actually, I love watching that movie, and I rewatch it a lot. I actually just rewatched it recently. But I would say I'm a big fan of George Lucas's original 6 as like the core Star Wars for me, in my opinion. And I wish they kept his script for the sequels, but they didn't.
Yeah,
but we don't have to go there.
We'll never know what it is. So
it sounded so cool though. But anyway, so in my opinion in Star Wars and everything, like the heart of Star Wars is those original 6 movies, and then everything else like comes after. So that's why Rogue One comes after all of the 6 in their orders and things.
That's interesting. The way to go about it. Now, how about Solo? Because how many times have you watched it? I feel like a lot of people have watched it once and never watched it again.
I've seen it twice. Not 3 times. It's been twice. No, actually, I watched it years after it came out. But yeah, Solo, it had its good moments, and then it had the moments I did not like. I think the actor, I don't know his name. I think he did
Aaron.
It's okay. I call all actors by their first name anyway. So I think Aaron did a really good job, like as the embodiment of Han Solo. In ways like it's hard to do Harrison Ford, because he's so iconic. But given the pressure that he had to do it, I think he did a good job. And I liked Kira. I liked how we got to see like more of the crime syndicate, Crimson Dawn, and all of that. But like overall, like the movie, the storytelling, it's okay,
When was the last time you watched it? How long has it been since you watched it?
It's been a while.
You should watch it again.
Yeah, I know.
It's really good.
It falls in line with, again, like even when it comes, this should have been my hot take. When it comes to shows like Mando, Ahsoka, The Bad Batch, sometimes I do get disappointed by them. Even though they're really good shows, it does kind of dilute the originals.
That is a hot take.
Yeah.
Let's
switch some things around here.
It elevates them. I think the best why the shows are so great is because they elevate, and like kind of like the Clone Wars, like that makes the prequel movies so much better.
I didn't put the Clone Wars in there because I agree. Like the Clone Wars is solid gold. But
do you think we need to add the Clone Wars movie to this?
Yeah, y'all should.
I feel like a lot of people haven't watched it, even if they've watched Clone Wars.
Really?
I don't know.
I watched it today, and I'm like, I feel like we don't consider that a movie.
I haven't watched
it
in a long time. I think I've only watched it once, but I've watched.
I watched it in theaters.
Really?
Yeah, I remember when it came out. I was excited. I watched it today. Dude, the animation's rough, bro. Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah,
it's
a nightmare.
one quality.
It's rough. I was like, ooh. They come like the last season of Bad Batch to that, it's like, what are we doing?
It's wild. That's one of my favorite things to do is just jump back and forth because Bad Batch animation is literally it's so
There's
beautiful.
times where you don't even realize it's anime. Like it's just animation. Like it just looks so like there's some shots that I'm like, dude, that looks real. Like that's real life. So
I just accidentally did a Kanan quote. I don't know if y'all caught that.
What'd you say?
I said it's so beautiful. Oh. You remember that episode? It's like the Empire Day one.
Oh anyway. Yeah, we love the Empire.
Yeah, Ooh. Empire Day. Yeah. Anyway, me and Sierra say that a lot too. It just slipped out.
Yeah, I mean, when Maul came on screen.
Oh yeah,
I flipped out in the theater opening night.
I screamed so bad in the theater opening night. It was wild.
That's cool. Yeah, I love the moments like that. You know, because that's another thing is, it's not my strong. Like I don't like any of the shows because of it dilutes everything. Like I love the shows, but there's always like little moments, where I'm kind of like, oh, like I wish they kind of didn't do that. Just little things. But yeah, there's moments like that are just really fun to watch, like seeing Darth Maul in the theater. Like it's just reliving childhood. Yeah.
I freaked out. I was like, y'all don't understand what's happening right now.
Everyone just watching her. You don't even know.
People are like, they screwed up the timeline. You're supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
My wife
they're not going to be that careless.
Exactly.
Like, when I stood up and started like freaking out, like my wife grabs my arm and pulls me back down in my seat. I'm like, you don't understand what's happening right now.
This is huge.
This is such a big thing.
Yeah.
That was dope. Yeah, I still remember.
All right. Well, that is your interview. That's all the categories. Fun. A lot of fun. You had a lot of good takes and stuff like that. So that's a lot of fun.
A lot of bad opinions too.
There's no such thing as that. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinions on Star Wars. That's what our community is about. People can have their own thoughts and opinions and beliefs about Star Wars, and
your opinions just run really close to mine. And Jeremiah's like, "Oh, there's two of you." Now there is two of them.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So, anything else you want to say? Closing arguments or anything for anything you said tonight?
I don't know. I think I should probably just shut my mouth about my opinions.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
We can talk about them more on my podcast sometime.
Oh, okay. That'll be fun.
That'll be dope.
All right. Well, that just means we got to transition over to everyone's favorite time of every episode, voicemail time.
It's voicemail time.
That's Drew's singing voice.
Hey.
I was about to ask who did that.
But this is a big night because we have a ton of voicemails. Normally we only have like 1, 2, 3, but we have 8 tonight.
Buckle up.
So this is exciting. So the first 2 from our newest biggest fan who's been in the chat all night, Yaretsi. So let's take a listen to her first one.
Hey Empire Radio, I am back, and this time I have an Imperial Coliseum matchup. So I'm just gonna get right to it. Peak Darth Maul, like Season 7 of the Clone Wars Darth Maul, teamed up with Season 5 of the Clone Wars Ahsoka, against a Force-sensitive, Force-trained, dual lightsaber-wielding Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now they're in the arena, the same arena from when Ventress went to go find a mate. When she went to go find Savage, it's the arena with the moving pillars, and both Darth Maul and Thrawn have had 1 week to study the arena and each other's tactics. Who would win?
Okay, this is so an Imperial Coliseum, it's like a little like old episodes we used to do, take random matchups and put them against each other. So Season 7 Maul and Season 5 Ahsoka versus basically a Jedi Master, or not necessarily or Sith Master, Force User Master Thrawn And Maul
why season 5 Ahsoka?
Because she wants to make it interesting.
A little challenge.
She's not as powerful as she is in season 7, so it adds a little more difficulty because
just messes up my math.
She's just a little more. Actually, this is before she was.
So this is when she gets expelled, right?
Yeah,
like that same final arc.
Oh, okay.
So here's the thing. I feel like Thrawn would win because the big thing about Maul is he fails at everything he does.
GG. That's true.
And so
so just because it's Maul, he's gonna lose.
That's a big reason of it. I think that he would get in his own way, and Maul would be too aggressive, too in the moment.
Has Ahsoka with him though.
And Thrawn would be more calm and collective, and he'd be able to anticipate Thrawn's missteps. And Ahsoka, she's amazing. She went toe to toe with Grievous and survived, and she's really good at this point. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Thrawn. What do you guys think? And there's perfect. We have 3 of us tonight, so we're gonna have a determining winner. So
I'm gonna say Maul and Ahsoka only because it's 2. I think honestly, if it was 1v1, it'd be a easier matchup. I feel like Ahsoka is not gonna lose. The same way you think Maul always fails, but Ahsoka doesn't.
She always wins. That's a good point.
So she's not gonna let him make mistakes, and if Maul makes a mistake, she can counter that mistake. I can see them dueling, and then Maul dies, and then Ahsoka just ends it and wins because it's Ahsoka. So, because Thrawn is gonna have to fight 4 lightsabers instead of just 2. He has 2.
Thrawn has 2. So,
but 4 is a lot. And Ahsoka is at this point, she's pretty good with her lightsabers.
I think this Thrawn, because he's so calm and collective all the time, his balance in the Force, he'd be able to he wouldn't let his emotions get the best of him. And he'd be so concentrated.
But Ahsoka doesn't let her emotions get the best of her.
I know, but he's just so much higher and elevated. But it's up to you, Isabella. You gotta break the tie. Who's gonna win?
That's really good. I've thought about Thrawn a lot in his, tactics and winning and losing.
You've read the books, right? Or no?
No.
Oh, that changes your answer.
I know.
You need to watch. You need to read the Ascendancy trilogy.
We gotta answer this in 6 months when she's read it all.
Right?
All 6 books.
I'm going to. So this is purely based off of the shows.
Okay.
But I'm going to read the books. That's next on my list of Star Wars books when I get the time. I'll probably get the audiobooks actually. But
really good audiobooks.
Based off the shows, because I don't know much about the books. Only a little hairline fraction of the books. But the only time he ever lost in Rebels was a couple times. He lost in, I forgot which finale, if it was the season 2 finale.
Season 3 finale.
With Bendu. You remember that one?
Yes. Season
3.
Okay,
season 3. The only reason he lost that battle was because something happened that he wasn't expecting. And it was a Force mystical kind of a thing. And it caught him off guard, and he lost that battle. And so then in the finale of Rebels, he loses again because, again, he wasn't expecting the Purgle to appear because Ezra had that connection to animals and everything, and it caught him by surprise. So the only way that you can beat Thrawn is by catching him off guard. So the real question is, can Ahsoka and Maul team up enough to catch him off guard in some way? Because that's how they would win. Because if not, Thrawn would definitely win.
So Thrawn would say that Maul is reckless and Ahsoka is more calculated. Yeah. So the only way they could throw him off is if they purposely switch roles. Where Ahsoka, she's aggressive at attacking, and Thrawn is more Oh, and Yoretzi's like, well, think about the moving pillars.
You gotta calculate that.
I don't know. I'd probably be the same, but
yeah.
So what is your final? What do you think would actually play out? Do you think?
I would say, again, Maul would end up dead, and I think Thrawn would win.
Oh dang!
Betrayed me.
Okay, all right, there you go.
Unless something happens, and all of a sudden Ahsoka and Maul are like, "Wait, we got this crazy idea."
Well, if Maul dies, Ahsoka has to die too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, okay. All right.
Unless Thrawn spares her for some reason.
All right. Thank you, Yoretzi, for that question. But she has her second one. And this next one is a first ever in voicemails.
Ooh.
And so I'm excited to play this one. So take a listen.
Hey, Empire Radio. Guess the theme.
Name the song. She played it on flute herself.
That sounded so good.
It was very good. What's the song?
That's one of my favorites, Across the Stars.
Yep. Great job, Yoretzi. She said in the Discord that she plays flute, and I played flute for 9 years back in the day.
Can you play that, Jeremiah?
Oh, wow.
I have not played since high school, and I'm sure I don't know.
You should give it a go.
I don't know if I can read music anymore. I don't think I can.
Oh.
It would take me a long time to remember.
YouTube
have the muscle memory to remember the lines and spaces and stuff.
Yeah.
But
that's the hardest thing about.
You guys can get in the Discord and she can teach you again.
I'm sure I can figure it out. But
just jamming over there in the flute.
Yep, that's the first time we've had someone play an instrument on a voicemail. We had one singing voicemail. That was Will a long time ago.
Oh yeah,
remember that? That was funny. But yes, thank you, Yoretzi. Great job. All right, next up we have one from Sky King from the Discord. So let's take a listen.
Hey, Empire Radio, it's Sky King. Just finished the last episode and wanted to react to a couple things. First off, I like to play along with the top fives, or this time, top six. And shout out to Jeremiah. We had the same top three. So, awesome, good choices. Secondly, I'm a little surprised for not even an honorable mention for Jackie. She was awesome. She was on my top six. And thirdly, this is for Yoretzi. Gonk.
Gonk. Okay, Gonk. What is this?
You've been listening back to past episodes. Suddenly this argument is real for you. Some of us live it. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. No, I'm just kidding. But really, though, that was an awesome back in the day when we were having that fight about Gonk and Clink.
It's coming back.
I made my first GIF meme and posted it on the Discord. It's that scene from 2003 Clone Wars when there's the clone in the city in the crater fighting off like an army of B-2 battle droids all by himself. And it was me and Boom Bakarna fighting off like Puzzler and David and Andrew and all the Clinkas. For the Gonk!
All right, well, thank you for that. So first off, last week we did top 6 female characters in Star Wars for our International Women's Day special. So if you haven't listened to that, go check that out for our top 6 female characters. But he said honorable mention Jackie from The Acolyte, which she was my favorite character from that show. Did you finish that show?
No, I did not.
You should finish that.
I don't.
Episode 5 has the best lightsaber choreography in all of Star Wars.
That's fair, actually.
You should go check that out. Check that out. Finish. Just watch through episode 5, or just watch the last
finale, last 10 minutes of the.
Watch the last 5 minutes of episode 4 to get context for episode 5, and just watch that whole episode 5, and then jump to the last half hour of the last episode, and you get more lightsaber duel. But he brings up the big debate, which came up last week too.
Dude, this thing is
So we have the big fight argument about who's better, the Gonk droid in Bad Batch or Clink from Bad Batch season 1, the R2 unit that had like the arms that had them fix their ship or whatever. Remember that, Isabella?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So the big argument is who's better. I say Gonk because he actually did way more. Drew and Andrew about Clink. Yoretzi says Clink, but Darth.
You said he was the one. He had the arms.
He has like arms and legs, and he like waddles like a duck, kind of.
And he helped them fix their ship when they were stranded or something like that. And he was there for like one episode.
The best in terms of like just who's
however
better,
you wanted to find it.
Because my first thought was who would win in a fight.
No.
Just who do you like more, Gonk or Clink?
I just like it because he's cool, different, and he's cute and he's fun.
He is cute. I'll give him that, but I would say Gonk too.
Okay, well, there we go.
Because the little waddle is.
I'm losing you. I'm losing you right now.
Started strong.
We started really good. No. Jeremiah's corrupting you. You're going down a path I can't follow right now.
All right. Well, what else? Did he ask something else, or was that it? I think that was everything.
That was it.
All right.
Not a Gonk rant for like 10 minutes.
Next up, we have 2 voicemails from Darth Fart from the Discord. And
don't laugh at his name. That's his name.
I hate saying it when there's a girl on thing. I don't know why. I don't know. But
no, that's my sense of humor.
Okay,
I need to say. Good. So like I'm trying not to laugh right now.
Okay. So both voicemails are it's like a part 1 and 2. So I'm gonna play them both, and then we'll respond after both are played. So first one.
Hey, Empire Radio, Darth Fart here with a little interesting question, I think. So, out of any fictional character or even real-life person if you want, who would be worthy of wielding Thor's hammer like Captain America did in Infinity War? Who, in your opinion, would have the right personality, right fortitude to wield Thor's hammer? P.S. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I hated the fact that Captain America could summon lightning with his hammer. I think that should be a Thor exclusive thing. But that's besides the point. The question is, who would be able to wield Thor's hammer, real person or fictional character? May the Force be with you guys.
All right, and I'll play part 2.
Hey, Empire Radio, just to continue from my last voicemail about who could wield Thor's hammer, my pick just came to me randomly, and it makes complete sense to me. Who would be able to wield Thor's hammer? Neil from the Skeleton Crew, duh. That guy got heart for days. He's got that easy. Maybe I'd even let him summon lightning. But that's my pick. What's yours, guys? May the Force be with you.
All right. Thank you, Darth Fart. That is a wonderful question, and people have pondered that question for many years.
Also, yeah, I agree with him with the lightning thing. Like, it doesn't really make sense.
So here's the thing. Yeah. After that movie came out, everyone complained about that, and the Russo brothers were like, sorry, we made a mistake. They apologized. They wrote that in there because they're in the moment. They thought it was cool, and they weren't thinking that, it's the God of Thunder wields lightning, not the hammer.
Yeah.
So they acknowledged that they have apologized. So, but it's still a cool scene. That whole scene is the best scene part of that whole movie or whatever. But like,
yeah, he has America's butt and a hammer.
But what would you guys? Who would you guys say? He said fictional or in real life. Who would be?
Well, let's stick with Star Wars. Like,
we can do whatever you want. This question, you can put Star Wars. I can answer however I want. And Isabella can answer however she wants.
The way you want. I mean, Ahsoka make a lot of sense. Like, she's the most balanced Force user we have. Like, she's no Jedi, but she is. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like she would be a good one to do it. Like, she would be able to do it. I like Neil. Neil's a good answer. I really like that. I think it would be so funny too, because he'd be like, "Oh, what do I do with this? Like, I get to see him, like, okay, I guess I have this thing. Like, that would be funny.
Him and his girlfriend Hannah, they're like back to back fighting in a battle, and
he just finds a hammer on the ground that no one's. Runa.
Oh, his crush that he left for her. And
I only know that because Ruby made a list of every character's name in Skeleton Crew. So
well, and Homeboy would be sitting there. What, he can do the hammer? Why can't I?
Yeah,
like throwing a like
throw himself on the floor.
Yeah. He's the worst. But yeah, I think those two. I'm trying to think who else would be able to. I don't want to steal anyone's answers.
I don't know. First thought, Jesus. He's always worthy, so that's a good answer.
Amen.
He's the GOAT. He could wield Thor's hammer. Who else?
I don't even want to respond.
You feel bad now for saying Ahsoka?
I was trying to stick to Star
Wars. Someone who I think could wield it because they would be worthy, but would never actually use it as a weapon would be Mr. Rogers.
Bro,
because he's the sweetest, nicest guy. He cares about everybody. Like
he does have sleeves, which is pretty cool.
But he wouldn't like attack with it. He would build a house for someone with a hammer or something.
He would tie people's shoes with it. Like
yeah.
There you go.
But Isabella, do you have any answers
Mr.
for who?
Rogers,
fictional or real life?
If you say Jesus, I have to say that first and foremost. But fictional, I would say. Actually, I think you're onto something with Ahsoka. Because what's y'all's opinion about this? I've been thinking about this since I watched the Mortis arc. You know, when Ahsoka dies and then the daughter uses the last of her life to, save Ahsoka. Since the daughter's like the embodiment of the light side of the Force, it's always been kind of something I've thought of is like Ahsoka's attachment to the light side of the Force now is probably stronger in that sense,
Yeah.
But it's not confirmed. It's just something I've thought about over the years.
Makes sense.
So in a way that being the way that it is could be like the ability to wield. What's the name of the hammer?
Mjolnir.
Yeah, or the what's the other one? Jonathan. That's my favorite one. Have y'all heard that one?
What?
Y'all haven't heard that?
No.
Because it is Mjolnir, but in some interview or something, someone names it Jonathan.
Oh, it's like as a joke?
It's like a joke, but it's stuck.
I've never seen that.
Really? Really? I always called it Jonathan.
I kind of want to call it Jonathan now.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's Jonathan. But I think she would be able to wield Jonathan.
Yaretsi says that she understood that reference and it was Paul Rudd, which makes sense.
Really?
He would say something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was. I just remember Jonathan. But yeah, I think Ahsoka actually might be able to wield it.
I think she would make the most sense.
What about Obi-Wan?
Because I thought Obi-Wan, but he has a lot of struggles.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, I guess so does Cap.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, everyone. But
and Thor.
It's Thor, he was... When he was wielding it in that Endgame, he was a hot mess.
Thick boy.
Yeah, no, I think definitely Obi-Wan too, if I'm allowed to have. That was what, three opinions?
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Darth Fart, for that. Next up, we have a voicemail from someone who says it's her first voicemail, but I would say that's only from a certain point of view. So let's take a message from Marina.
Hey, Empire Radio. This is Marina, aka Mark Hyber or Mark Eber, however you want to read it. Hi, Drew. Hi, Jeremiah. I just want to say I'm a long-term listener, first-time voicemailer, I think, and I love every single episode that I get to tune into. I'm a house cleaner, so I like to listen while I clean other people's homes. And while I was cleaning today, I thought of a quick question that I wanted to throw out there. If you could live on any Star Wars planet, what would it be? And which one would you not want to live on? For me, I would not want to live on Mustafar because I love the sun. I would want to live on Endor and be like a force-using forest forager, where I just like in touch with nature and I get to like look for treasures left over from the battle that ended it all. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Can't wait to tune in next week.
All right. Thank you, Marina. Now, she
Explain
said this
a
was
certain point of view.
So she won one of our giveaways back in 2022. And so she sent in a voicemail. She's the one that did when we had the who would win in a fight, R2D2 versus Hondo Onaka, and they both had special random powers. Remember that, Drew?
Yep.
She won that one when she told her story of how the battle would go out. And so that was technically a voicemail that we played, but this was that was for a competition. This is
that's fair.
A normal voicemail time thing. So, but Marina's great. She has her own podcast. I think it's called the Entry Number Podcast. Go check that out. She's awesome. And I want her to be a guest on our podcast. And she says, well, not yet. But if you want her, spam her in the Discord, tag her, and be like, hey.
Harass her.
Be on the interview. But question, though. What planet would we want to live on? And what planet would we not want to live on in Star Wars? Any hot planet, I don't want. Mustafar, right? Tatooine, no. Jakku, no. I don't want hot, sandy, nothing.
It's everywhere. It's grainy. It's everywhere.
It's
everywhere.
Naboo is always a good answer, but I feel like it's too one-dimensional with culture and stuff.
No, just go swim in some ponds. You get some
I don't know.
culture.
I kind of want to experience the street food in a marketplace or something in a cool planet with a bunch of shops and stuff. But I don't want to be big. Coruscant, too big.
I feel like Coruscant might be up your alley.
I am technically a city person, but as I'm getting older, I'm I don't like people, so I'm let me get some more trees in my view.
I understand that, but you also don't like outdoorsy
stuff.
I know. So you're a hard one to.
Yep.
Pick.
But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't want to live on Hoth.
I could do Hoth because I like snow.
Too cold, bro.
Put a jacket on, you're fine.
No, Hoth. They were freezing. He had the exact time when they would freeze to death.
No, are you gonna tell Isabella your joke? You always tell your.
Oh, true.
I thought you were gonna talk about it earlier when
I'm
we talked
intrigued now
about wampas. I thought you were gonna bring it up then, but.
Isabella, do you know what the temperature inside a tauntaun is? Lukewarm.
Oh my gosh,
the best Star Wars joke of all time.
That's his favorite joke.
It's the best.
But anyway, not Hoth, but what else? Where would you want to live? Tatooine, because that's your favorite planet, or what?
No, Tatooine would be interesting to visit by myself. You couldn't raise a family on Tatooine. I mean, you could, I guess, if you're.
You don't have the money to leave.
But I think for me it'd probably be Naboo because there's a lot of outdoor stuff and the weather seems similar to our summers, not super hot but really fun and a lot of water things to do. Go fishing. There's always a bigger fish, so that would be fun. Catch, I feel like Naboo would probably be a solid. Endor would be cool, but I feel like Endor would be kind of rough too. My wife would hate it. At least Naboo, Steph could still have part of a city that she could hang out with. But Naboo is an easy answer.
And there's so many planets. I know I'm forgetting
oh yeah, for planets. Sure. We only think of the 5 on our heads. But
Isabella, what do you think? Your RT's what about Alderaan?
It's a great place.
What time in the timeline?
Yeah, we need to know what timeline you're talking about.
Actually, Alderaan is really pretty. I've always
it
thought
was
that.
Very pretty.
It was really pretty. My first thought was Naboo. just because I love the architecture and the colors and everything.
It's like
and the
Frenchy.
lakes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah,
like
see?
super pretty. But then when you said, street food, culture, all of that, I thought of like Kato Nemoidia, which is really random.
Deep cut. All right.
But they have a lot of culture there. I think that's the one. They've got like different districts and everything. But it seems like a pretty good sized, city on the planet. So it's random, but I thought of that one too.
What's
But
one
I think
you
I would
don't?
still pick Naboo. Don't. That's interesting. I feel like I have
like
planet.
Mustafar, like she said, would be terrible.
Yeah, I
Unless,
feel
like,
that
What would you do on Mustafar?
Unless you get Vader's castle, like you're like
that would be sick.
After episode 6, like it's up for sale and like you get a good deal on it, like
moving in. Oh my gosh.
The Zillow. Someone needs to make like a zero, like a whole way of like how much it would cost and like showing what it would look like and stuff.
You should put a Zillow listing up for that.
Yeah, someone needs to do that. That'd be hilarious.
Wouldn't want to live.
But what would you do on there anyways if you lived there? Like Vader just lived there because you want to be depressed. Like that's all there.
Yeah.
You don't want to be happy.
Yeah,
Pabu would be a great place to live.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Oh my gosh.
Unless you're
except for the occasional
stay up
tsunami.
a little bit higher,
but that's like any island place, Like Habu would be kind of dope. It's like Hawaii all year round. It's like Hawaii.
That's what I thought was funny though, is after the tsunami came and took out half the city, they like rebuilt it. Like I would start building like treehouse style, like try to build up so that doesn't happen again.
But that happens in like Japan.
But they don't got trees on that planet though. They don't have any resources to like do that.
I'm just trying to help Pabu out. They should have built higher instead, but
yeah.
You do what you do.
But so you don't have one? Hoth, you like cold?
Have
you ever been to Minnesota?
No,
2 weeks ago?
No, I have.
Last week.
Last week we got like a foot of snow.
And now it's almost all gone.
Today was like what, 50 something degrees?
It's been 50s and 60s. It might hit 70 this weekend. Like,
dang.
But last week we had a foot of snow.
Texas is great this week. Great weather.
For now.
But yeah.
Talk
no, although right, we're done here. No, I mean in Texas though, if we get like 1 inch of snow, it's a big deal.
Like
so I can't imagine a foot.
When you guys got that ice storm and half your state was like no electricity.
Luckily that missed us. We got snow for sure, but not like everybody, Yeah. That was pretty brutal. But I can't think of like exactly. I'd say probably Mustafar. I wouldn't want to live there. I just know there's probably like, those random planets that they go to in like the Clone Wars or whatever. I feel like me and Sierra have had this exact conversation. Like, I would not want to live here for this exact reason, and it's just like a really strong opinion.
Like a mining planet.
Like Kessel, you don't want to live on Kessel.
Yeah, highly unnecessary, strong opinion. But it'll come to me later. But I'd say Mustafar.
Well, you can send in a voicemail with a better answer next week.
Right,
next week if you want. All right. Thank you, Marina, for that. We love to hear from you again. We love to have you on the podcast in the future. We love to have you. All right. Next up, we have one from, I believe this is a first-time sender, someone named Chris. So let's take a listen.
Hey, Empire Radio. Chris here. Just want to leave you a message after your last episode, top 6 female characters in Star Wars. I feel there's a character that you probably forgot about, but who probably deserves to at least be honorable mention, and that is Admiral Aralani of the Chiss Ascendancy. She's a really cool character, great commander, and garners the highest respect from Thrawn, who I know you both really enjoy as a character. And also was thinking, what are your thoughts on if the next Tales of the series was Tales of the Ascendancy, going over the Chiss Ascendancy, and wondering what your thoughts of what characters you'd like to see if they possibly did that, what stories you'd like to see, maybe see Eli Vanto in that story. So just love to hear your thoughts. Thanks, guys, and may the Force be with you.
All right. Thank you, Chris. And yes, totally forgot about Admiral Arlani.
People are like mad that we like missed all these girls. Like I didn't think it was like that.
Someone posted a comment on our YouTube video about about Admiral Arlani. So she's great. She's great, as well as Chiri and Thalius. Those three characters are the main female characters in those.
We also forgot to like mention like Anakin's mom.
Shmi.
Without her, there'd be no Anakin.
That's usually how it works. But yes, Tales of the Chiss Ascendancy would be great. The only really thing I would want to know is like, I don't want to spoil it for Isabella, but there is a war that happened centuries before that caused a climate change on a certain planet, and I want to know. I want to see that. That would be a really cool battle moment. It would give context to a very specific plot point in those books that it's kind of minor, but it's still kind of like, what is it all about? Like, I want to know the history of that. But that'd be really cool. Just ascendancy thing.
I'd be down. Any of those characters I'd be cool with.
Yeah. But Isabella can't answer that question. But we could maybe just change the question a little bit. What would be a Tales series that you would want? We got Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire. What would you want next? Because I'm sure we'll get one this year sometime.
I would love Tales of the Clones. For sure.
Like a deep dive into like
I feel like that's the Clone Wars. I don't know.
But I know, but you can go like continuing stories, like to see the Clone Rebellion forming after Order 66 and get into like, because in the Bad Batch, Rex would show up and there was a clone named Nemec, one named Fireball, like that just kind of came in. So like to see more of their
I think we're going to get a Rex show.
I think
so.
They're going to announce the next show, animated show at Celebration next month. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be
Rex.
A Rex show, a Clone Rebellion show. And you're going to get that. So it's not going to be a Tales series. It's going to be an entire, probably 2-3 seasons.
I would rather have a whole series about it. So that would be awesome.
I would want that. A Tales of the Sith. I think Palpatine origin story would be really cool.
I think, and you can even add like Maul, how he came to be.
You could recruit Maul in the third episode.
Maul would be really interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Tales of the Sith would be sweet. I still want a what if. When we say this like probably once a month.
Says Tales of the Gungans. We see what Jar Jar did to get kicked out.
Banished. Yeah, that'd be dope. Actually, I'd be down for that. That'd be sweet.
I would take that actually.
That'd be
Tales
fun.
of the Gungans.
All right, thank you, Chris. Hopefully, hear from you again. We got our final voicemail, and Drew, you know what it is.
True, I do. But
it's Garrett with the coup d'etat verse. So Garrett, for like over a year now, has been sending his own fictional story in taking place in the Star Wars universe.
Sends in once a week, pretty much.
So you've missed a lot. Basically,
sounds like it. Yeah.
He was a pod racer who won all his money, went on a star cruiser, like luxury star cruiser, got attacked by pirates. He overthrew the pirates, became a pirate king. Then he saved all these other people that were in distress, and then joined the First Order. Empress Palpatine took him under his wing because he was force sensitive. And he was leading a battle against the resistance on Dakar. He crash landed and they abandoned him. And then Luke Skywalker and his fellow Jedi Ben Solo came and found him and have been talking to him in the last couple of weeks. And this is where the story picks up. That is the fastest I can explain what's happening so far. So let's get caught up with Garrett.
Hey, Empire Radio, it's Garrett. Over the course of a week, I've really gotten to know a lot about Luke and Ben. Luke is really kind and patient, and Ben is more prideful and reckless. It's interesting to see how much they contrast each other, but work together really well. I'm excited to see how I can maybe fit in there. I've learned a lot about the Force, mainly how to control my abilities a bit more. Before now, I was just using it willy-nilly. I've been spending a lot of time with Ben, and he's taught me how to use anger in conjunction with the light side of the Force to increase my power. Speaking of sides of the Force, where do you guys lean? Light, dark, or somewhere in between?
All right, thank you, Garrett. And the story continues. What's the light, the dark? Where's going to happen? I don't know. What's the big picture? We don't know. We'll find out next week. But do we lean more dark or light, or are we in the middle? Is there another category that we don't even know about yet? Like, what could it be? I feel like we're all pretty
personal
nice.
life. Yeah, like
I don't know. I feel like we're all pretty nice and try to do good.
Don't lean anyways. But what I lean more towards liking like the Sith and stuff like that. Like,
I don't know, there's more power with the dark side, but you become reckless. But the light side is more wisdom based, I believe, and
which is why we like Ahsoka so much, because it's so pure in the middle.
I don't know. I don't really know if I would say she's in the middle. I don't know. I think Anakin as a Force ghost is in the middle because he used both the light and the dark. He is the embodiment of the balance of the Force because he brought balance. So, and he has the balance still. But I don't know. I would say light just because I don't feel like I think everyone has that little scratch and hint and whisper of the dark side, but
sometimes I answer it. That's fair.
when Miles opens up more of your toys, Star Wars toys.
It's not really with him ever.
You're lucky I'm not Anakin Skywalker right now. Turn to a dark side.
Do you want me to become Vader or not? No.
Isabella, are you light side, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I would say light for sure.
All right. Cool. Well, that is all the voicemails. That was a lot of voicemails, but we still got it done in just over 2 hours, so that's pretty good timing. But Isabella, do you want to go over some social media stuff and how they get connected with your podcast?
Plug yourself.
I'll put those links in the description, but go ahead and promote yourself.
Yeah, a little shameless plug here. Yeah, you can definitely follow us on Instagram at StarWars_old_republic_radio. That is a mouthful. I didn't think of that when making the handle, but it's okay. I've gotten good at it. I have any podcast platform really. You just search Star Wars Old Republic Radio. You'll find us. If we're not on a platform, feel free to DM me and I will add it to that. But yeah. Those are the one social media handle that we have.
Cool. Well, if you want to get connected with us, if you're new, because I'm sure maybe some of your listeners are going to come over and check this out. Maybe, we don't know. But if you want to follow us, go in the description below. There's a links.co/Empire Radio. Link spelled with 2 I's. Click that landing page for everything Empire Radio. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. You can join the live stream. We live stream every episode, and you can join the chat, and you can be like the amazing Yoretzi and fact check us and answer our questions and look stuff up for us, and we can answer questions and all that stuff. So join Twitch. Join the Discord. You can want to hang out with some other nerdy Star Wars fans that listen to the podcast. Go join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. We have a link for voicemail. So if you can send in a voicemail. It's super easy. You just push record and then send. That's all you got to do. You don't got to sign up or anything. It's super easy, and we'll play it as long as it's family friendly. And we also have just a fan email if you need to email us about anything. So,
yeah.
I love that you have like this whole spiel, and I'm like, Instagram, you know?
Yeah, this is our 303rd episode, so we've been doing it a lot.
5 years.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome.
All right, well, Isabella, anything else you want to say before we sign out?
Wow, really just thank you guys so much for having me. Thanks for the invite. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
Now we got to come on yours.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to
create a whole thing for us now.
Yeah,
right.
What questions
As
you
this
want to
whole
have
list
for
of
us?
questions. I'll let you all have top 100s and everything.
Oh Lord, okay.
Top 100 of all the categories we had tonight. So
right,
we're gonna be here for like
2 days later.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've been listening to another interview-tastic episode of Empire Radio. I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
I'm Isabella.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.